What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be going over how to install ReShade 4.8.2 for Cemu Emulator. Just like before, these methods are of my own personal preference. You do not have to use them. I by no means claim them to be the best out there. This is just how I get it to work correctly on my system. Now, I won't be going over all of the changes in this version. I will only be going over the different installation methods. If you wish to go over what all of the changes are, I have left a link to the changelog page on the official ReShade website. In this guide, I will only be focusing on the Vulkan API, not OpenGL. While ReShade can work with OpenGL, I do not recommend it simply because the performance loss when compared to using it with Vulkan is significant. In addition to that, this guide is intended more for Windows users. Now, very importantly, please keep in mind that simply having ReShade installed with Cemu is going to impact your performance. This has nothing to do with ReShade itself. This is due to the fact that Cemu Emulator is still experimental and is not yet fully optimized for use with ReShade. So in the case of this emulator, if you are more about performance over visuals, then this may not be something that you want to use. Also keep in mind that currently when pairing ReShade with Cemu, you may encounter graphical bugs. Just like the issue with performance, this stems from the compatibility of the two not being fully optimized yet. But if you don't care about any of this and you just want to be able to customize the look of your game, then let's go ahead and hop right into the guide. So first and foremost, you need to make sure that you have Cemu Emulator installed correctly on your PC. If you are unfamiliar with how to get this up and running, there will be a link down below to a guide on how to set up Cemu Emulator with the most optimal settings. So this time, we're going to start by prepping for a clean installation of ReShade. If by chance you are having problems after installing 4.8.2 or any other version and want to revert back to a previous version, or you simply just don't want ReShade on your computer anymore, the steps for removing it are very simple. If you installed ReShade using the OpenGL option, you just need to run the installer for the current version you are using a second time, and ReShade should detect that you already have it installed, and you will be given an option to uninstall it. If you installed ReShade using the Vulkan option, the uninstallation process is going to be a bit different due to the fact that there is currently no uninstall option for Vulkan when running the ReShade exe a second time. So what you want to do is locate your ReShade folder directory. This is typically located on your OS drive inside of the program data folder. If you have this installed somewhere else, you would navigate to that location instead. But inside of your program data folder, all you need to do is come down to this ReShade folder and delete it. This will completely remove any current installations of ReShade from your computer. However, if you are doing this for a clean installation, I recommend also deleting the ReShade shaders folder from whichever game directory you were using ReShade with. This can help avoid installing duplicate effects as well as minimize incompatibility issues when loading shaders. From here, you would then install the preferred version of ReShade that you wish to use. To download ReShade, you're going to come to the official website and download the latest version. The link for this will also be down below. I'm also going to download a preset to use once we have finished getting ReShade installed. Keep in mind that in order to extract most preset files, you're going to need either WinRAR or 7-zip. Both can be downloaded through the links in the description. Once you have downloaded the exe, go ahead and run the application. A window will pop up asking you to select a game to install ReShade for. If you see your desired game in this list, go ahead and select it and hit Use Selected Application. If not, you're going to hit Browse and then locate the exe of the game that you want to use. Next, ReShade is going to ask you which rendering API does Cemu use. Since we are focusing on the Vulkan API, we're going to select Vulkan. The next window is going to ask you to select effect packages to install. Now, there are a few small quality of life features in this new version. One of them is the package installer. In previous versions, you had the option to check any of these packages to install. You would then have to manually check and install each individual shader. In 4.8.2, you have the option to install the entirety of a package automatically without having to select any individual shaders. How this works is if you want to install the entire entirety of a package, just click the box until there is a check mark. If you want to install your shaders manually, then just click the box until there is a square. This is a nice quality of life feature. It makes installation easier and faster. If you are only looking to update your version of ReShade, but you do not want to install the shader packs that come with it, just hit the skip button and you will be updated to that version of ReShade. For the purpose of this video, I'm going to be installing most of these automatically. However, I will not be installing Astray effects or Otis effects since they install duplicate shaders. I'm also going to come down to the bottom here and change this from a check mark to a square, since there are things that we need to manually configure within this package. Once all of my other packages have installed, it's going to bring me to the package that I chose to manually install. From here, we're going to scroll down and find MXAO. I'm going to be unchecking this specific shader due to the fact that when not set in the correct load order, it causes shadows and ambient occlusion to break when used with Vulkan. But there is a workaround for this. If you rearrange the load order of this shader in the ReShade menu, you can get it to work as intended. But since I do not use this shader regularly, I just prefer not to install it. Hitting OK again will bring us to the final window, letting us know that ReShade was installed successfully. A couple of personal preference things I like to do at this point is click on Edit ReShade Settings to open this window, and then check this box that says Skip Tutorial. This just makes it so that when using ReShade for the first time, you will not have to go through the tutorial when opening the ReShade overlay in-game. Another thing that you can do here is select a preset to pre-apply so that you will not have to when you get in-game. I'm going to use the preset that I downloaded earlier. Remember that you need either WinRAR or 7-zip to extract these preset files. Decide where you want your preset directory to be and extract the files to that location. Make sure it's somewhere you can remember so you can find it easily within the ReShade menu. Now come back to this window and locate your preset. Once you have, you can go ahead and close this window. And the last thing we're going to be configuring is how ReShade activates. Clicking on the button on the bottom here will give you access to a checkbox. If the box is checked, ReShade will initiate every time you are playing a Vulkan API based game. If the box is not checked, you will need to leave this small window open in order for ReShade to be active in whichever game you are playing. I personally do not want to have this window open, so I'm going to go ahead and leave this box checked. If you want to be able to use ReShade with multiple versions of Cemu without having to install it for each of them individually, you can copy the ReShade INI file from your main Cemu directory to whichever Cemu directory you want to use it with. After we've done this, it's time to boot up Cemu. Once inside of Cemu, we're going to head up here to Options and then General Settings. In the General Settings window, click on Graphics, and then we're going to make sure that the graphics API matches the one that we used to install ReShade 4. So being that we installed ReShade for the Vulkan API, we also want to make sure that we are using the Vulkan API within Cemu. Now, if you're using ReShade specifically for The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, this next step is very important. Right-click on the game and then select Edit Graphic Packs. Inside of Graphic Packs, select Mods and then check ReShade Compatibility. You absolutely need to do this in order for ReShade to work correctly with The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. At the time of making this video, Breath of the Wild is the only game that has a ReShade compatibility mod, so you don't need to worry about doing this for any other games. If this mod is not checked, ReShade effects will not function properly. Moving on to the final step, it's time to boot up your game. If a bar pops up at the top of the window when the game launches, this means that you have installed ReShade correctly. If not, you may need to go over this installation process again more carefully to pinpoint the issue. Once you've loaded into game, press the home key on your keyboard to bring up the ReShade overlay. If you have followed all of the steps up to this point, you will notice that the preset we installed earlier is already selected in the preset menu and is currently being used. You can search for and select other presets you have downloaded from this drop-down menu as well. If when launching the game for the first time you notice broken visual effects, type in display depth, select this shader, and follow the on-screen instructions. Once everything looks good, you can uncheck this shader, and the last thing we're going to do is set up a few key bindings. Coming up to the settings tab, you will have the option to set key bindings to toggle effects on or off and switch between presets. I like to set the key binding for toggling my preset set on and off to F, and the left and right arrow keys to switch between presets. You can set up other key bindings for different functions, as well as configure your preferred settings for ReShade in this window. But once done here, you are now finished installing ReShade and can begin customizing the looks of your games as you like. There are plenty of effects to work with, so the possibilities are pretty much endless. It just depends on what you want. But that is going to wrap it up for this guide. If there is anything I did not cover entirely or correctly, please feel free to leave a comment down below. I am always open to feedback. It helps me improve my content and my channel. But until next time, hope this video helped you. Thanks for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.